Hello everyone. So maybe in previous videos you came to know the basic knowledge about domain analysis, domain class analysis, how we can carry out the domain class analysis. So in application analysis, now we will be discussing about these few topics: application interaction model, steps to construct the interaction model, then application class model, maybe few concepts related to class design. Now, I would like to give you some insight about before going into the application analysis. I think in the first chapter, we have discussed about object-oriented methodology. Now, when I say object-oriented methodology, it deals with how do we solve the problem and how we can convert that problem statement into the computer recognizable product. That is the main task in the process of object oriented methodology. Now, as you know that very in general, the analysis is basically to define the concise, precise, unambiguous problem statement and finding out the requirement. Now, as you know that there are two types of the analysis. One domain analysis and another one is application analysis. Maybe we call it as domain model and application model. So domain model or the analysis, basically it concentrates on the parts of the application which are considered to be a black box reflected within the system. Maybe in terms of the classes, maybe in terms of the database, or maybe in terms of how do we link our classes, redefining, reorganizing with respect to inheritance. That all part will come under the domain analysis. But application model is basically, it is visible to the user. You take any software or you take any product. Now, when I say visible to the user, now how our product should look like, what are the functionality it should have, how we can create the graphical user interfaces. Now, all these aspects need to be worked out in the application analysis. So, application model or the analysis can be described as a parts of the application system which are visible to the user. So that is how we can define the application analysis. So as you know that in most of the cases I have already repeating this, there are some three models: one class model, state model, and interaction model. Now in interaction model, we usually consider use case diagram, sequence diagram, and activity diagram to identify some of the requirements of the application. So now we are going for application analysis by using interaction model. So when I say interaction model, now already I have told you that interaction model consists of use case diagram, sequence diagrams, then maybe activity diagrams. We are going to use all these different diagrams and we will be constructing the model. So now these are the well-defined steps for doing the application analysis for a given problem statement. So whenever we consider a problem statement, definitely we should have to define the system boundary. That is going to be the first step in the application analysis. That is called as determine system boundary. That means no, we need to define our scope. We cannot really consider a vague problem statement. So that is basically the importance of the system boundary. Then when you go for use case diagram, you know what are the basic requirements of drawing use case diagram is to identify different actors which are direct in nature or maybe indirect in nature. Then one more very important aspect is the use case itself. Now, use case is nothing but it is a kind of a functionality. It's a piece of functionality. Maybe a direct actor or indirect actor is going to work on the system or in the interaction, maybe he is going to achieve it. So there are two steps which are related to use case diagram. Now, second step is to find the actors. As you are aware, while drawing the use case diagram, now for a given problem statement, at least two or more actors are really need to identify. That is how you can find the actors. Then find use cases. For every actor, there may be well-defined tasks need to be done. Now those things we are going to represent with the ellipse kind of a symbol, as you know that. An actor is represented with the human symbol. Now these are the two steps we need to identify. Already we have taken some of the case studies in the use case diagram discussion. Now maybe in the next step we require to somewhere we have to start the work or the functionality. That is nothing but a finding the initial event and the final event where it is going to exit. For example, you take a ATM machine where the first task of ATM machine functionality starts with the your ATM card. When you insert the card, that is going to be the initial event for the ATM. Then the final event will be dispensing the amount or maybe some related task where you will remove your ATM card. That is going to be the final event. So like that, we require to identify some of the initial and the final event. Then we require to prepare some normal scenarios. Now scenarios are nothing but in the particular scenario, there may be some particular actor may be involved. Those scenarios we require to prepare. Then add variation and exception scenarios. Now I will tell you what is basically the exception scenario. The exception scenario is something, for example, when you log in, there is a one more variation is username may be wrong. This is one variation. Or password may be wrong. Or maybe username and password may be wrong. So these are the variation and exception with respect to a particular scenarios.